Welcome to the show, getting you ready for a brand new weekend. I'm Sean Steyers. Vince D'Addario is here as well on a We In or We Out Friday. This was originally going to be Vince and Jesse today because I had something else that was going on, and then my plans kind of got rearranged. And so then it was going to be a three-man show. It was going to be all three of us.
Yep.
Vince and Jesse. And then Jesse had a pet emergency. They had to take the dog to the vet, and it's like not in town. They had to drive, so they had to go to the vet, and then when they were done at the vet, they had to go to the wife's dad's house where, so he could work remotely the rest of the day because he had to take partial time off, official PTO from work this morning, and so just rigmarole, so he has to be, he might be driving home actually right now. I don't know.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
So it's like a special vet that they had to go to?
No, it's just their vet.
Oh, I see.
For whatever reason, they still go to a vet that is not that close.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't know.
Hey, you got to do what's best for your kids. So that's where they're at right now.
That's right. The pets of the kids. Right?
I get it. I get it.
It is We In or We Out day. So if you are watching on either of the live YouTube stream, all tens of you right now, submit your We In or We Out questions and we will answer them. We have a few banked up that we will get to here in a little bit. We've been talking a little bit about Olympics this week. Have you seen, like, when they're doing the ski events, the drones that are following the skiers? What do you think? It kind of makes me a little motion sick just watching them.
It's they do it for a lot of different events. They were doing it for the bobsled. You could see the little drone behind. They were doing it for, like the I don't know the technical term, but like where they go the skiing where they go off the jumps and they do the different tricks and stuff. And you can hear them. They're like zzz,
like the snowboard jumps.
Yeah, snowboard, and then they also have like ski tricks and stuff like on skis.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, gotcha. And it's almost like being on a skateboard because they like go on pipes and like handrails and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a cool innovation. Personally, I didn't realize what it was at first, and then you could hear kind of like I said, the little buzz behind, and then they would go to it.
A little annoying, like a little bit too much buzzing, probably.
Probably correct. For like the Super G and like stuff like that, I kind of like being able to follow the skier down the mountain because in the past they would have cameras set up at like different like checkpoints,
like boom, boom, boom. You just see them from below coming at you. Yeah,
you get more of an idea of kind of how fearless these people
are. How crazy
are.
It is. Yeah.
They're going like 90 miles an hour.
You get a little motion sick because it's following right behind and it's bobbing and weaving and in and out and everything else.
Look, of all the things that they use drones for, I think this is a good use of a drone. I dig it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Takes you right inside.
It does.
The event. Vince, there's hope for all of us. Did you see this curler yesterday? 54-year-old curler from Wisconsin became the oldest U.S. Winter Olympian ever. Rich Ruohonen, I don't know exactly how you say his last name. He kind of got in a little blowout situation in a loss. But, I mean, look, we've all looked at curling over the years and gone, I could do that.
I know.
Right?
Well, yeah. It's hilarious because curling is like every 4 years people get just fired up about curling, right?
Yeah.
And the curling areas, around here get all excited and the whole thing, right? And everybody loves, it's like a guilty pleasure is curling. And he was like an alternate and he gets subbed in. And then, I saw that, and then somebody else posted a video from like 1970 or 72.
I saw that.
The curling with the guy like with a cigarette like hanging out of his mouth. And like, if that doesn't tell you that curling is an everyman sport, I don't know what it looked
literally hold my beer.
That's exactly right. It was like, shooting darts at the local bar. You know what I mean?
We went when we were on vacation in I think it was around Traverse City. We've gone to that area a few different times over the years. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years back when we went there. There was like a church they had converted into a brewery.
Okay.
On the back side of it, there was like a curling. I don't know exactly what curling rink or curling, whatever they call it.
Sure.
But they had curling there, like as part of the microbrew, which seems like a perfect fit. It's like get a couple suds and you go do the curling. But of course, you've got to make a reservation in advance, so we showed up, couldn't actually get in and do any curling or anything like that. But that's like that was the first time I'd ever seen, like the actual ice and curling in action. They have kind of little viewing area where you can sit there and watch and stuff like that.
I will say the venue that they are doing curling in, I don't know if you saw this, but the Milan Olympics have done a really good job of kind of refurbishing existing places for the Olympics, and the curling venue is no different. They had this outdoor like wooden place that has been around for like 60, 70 years, something like that. And it was outdoor. There was no roof or anything. And so what they did is they retrofitted it and they kept kind of like what they did to Soldier Field, essentially, is they kept the bones, the wooden seating area and all that. And they basically just put a roof over the top and they enclosed the whole thing with like glass and everything. So it's really, really cool. I dig it. Like I really like how they've kind of they didn't just build a bunch of new stuff, that's never going to be used again, essentially, like some of the Olympic places do. And like where they had the opening ceremonies is the soccer stadium and like, things like that. So they're doing a good job, in my opinion, of using kind of what they already had so that they can have the Olympics, there. So
yeah, you're up in the mountains. So
yeah, absolutely.
There was one skier yesterday. I can't remember where she was from, but she had done like another. I think she was maybe doing the snowboarding, and then also came to, like downhill type stuff or whatever it was. But they basically said to get from one event to it was a 6.5 hour drive where she was to get from one place to another. So that she could do both. Yeah.
I mean, I would be lying if I said I was up to date on the geography of Italy. But
I didn't realize it was that spread out.
They've got, they're basically two host cities. It's Milan and Cortina, or I think it's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Are those the cities that are 6.5 hours apart? Like that
I don't know. Wow. I just know that they said she had done something else.
Gotcha.
And it was a 6.5 hour drive, and she was trying to appeal to the downhill, like the giant slalom or whatever it was. She was trying to get them to push back her time, and they wouldn't do it, because of the fact that it was so far in between. So, yeah.
That's some dedication, I guess.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's actually Cortina Milan, whichever.
Yeah.
I don't know if if it was like one city or the other, if it was just stuff spread out like that.
Gotcha.
Like you remember when Chicago put in the bid for the Summer Olympics a few years back, they were talking about potentially doing some stuff here in South Bend.
The East Race, doing the kayaking and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Which would have been cool. I mean, and really, on a good day, it's like 90 minutes. That's actually not that far.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they would have had some sort of an express way to get from here to there. But that would have been cool.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Did you get the email about the media availabilities that we're going to have in the near future?
I did. I was really hoping that it was going to be the spring ball information, but it was not.
It was not.
But it
doesn't really do much for you.
No, but it does for you. It does for you. And it's interesting how far they've spread them out. Like it's every Wednesday at 9:15. And I realize they are also going to have some student athletes and their availability as well, which is cool because, you and I have been doing this for a very long time. And one thing I will give Notre Dame props about it, we went through a time where you weren't allowed to talk to freshmen throughout the entire football season,
right?
Let alone 4 weeks after they enrolled.
Spring even starts.
I mean, exactly. This is, I don't want to say unprecedented, but it kind of is for Notre Dame. Like this is a new thing that they are allowing you not only to talk to the transfers before spring ball starts, you get to talk to all the early enrollee freshmen before spring ball starts. So it's pretty cool. I mean, there's going to be a lot of options there, but you're only one man. So I'm not sure how that's all going to work out for you.
Yes, I am only one man. But we'll also get to talk to the 3 new defensive assistant coaches.
Yes.
Charlie Partridge, the defensive line coach, Aaron Henry, the new co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach, as well as Brian Jean Marais, the linebackers coach.
Yes.
And like you said, that's going to be spread out over 3 weeks. And they did say in the email that the full spring schedule will be released sometime soon. So
yeah, end of the month.
So
it's a nice wide open.
Yeah, we can comfortably say that spring practice is not going to begin in the first week of March anyway, based on the schedule that we've got. So
that is it's not going to start the first week. That is correct. But hey, it is what it is, and it starts differently every year. So just depends on, I don't know, the calendar, how they want to do stuff. All we know is the Blue Gold game's on April 25th. So be there, be square. There
was something else that I came upon yesterday from the South Bend Cubs. You probably didn't get this one. Their opening night is April 3rd. So we're about, a month and a half away from that. April 3rd, South Bend Cubs, opening night. 49 days from today. In the release yesterday, it was 50 days away. They are giving fans a 50-degree guarantee.
Oh.
If the official temperature at first pitch on April 3rd is below 50 degrees, every fan in attendance gets a complimentary ticket to a future South Bend Cubs home game in the month of April.
It's a good giveaway.
It's not bad.
First of all, the odds of it being 50, slim to none.
Right.
To be honest with you, on the first game.
I'd say 30% at best. You might
right.
A warm breeze blow in.
But giving out a ticket to everybody who shows up on opening day, that you're not really losing a lot of money there. So this is good either way. I dig it.
There is a qualification. There is a qualification. You have to buy your opening night ticket between February 25th and April 1st. So basically, it's not that hard. It's pretty big.
Just
window.
Not at the window.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if the temperature's below 50 degrees, immediately prior to first pitch, anyone who buys their tickets in that window, February 25th through April 1st, you get a free ticket to another game in April. So 2 for 1, baby.
Love that. I'm a big fan of the 2 for 1 deal.
See what happens.
Are we carrying South Bend Cubs games again this year? Do you know?
Last I heard.
So you can listen to it right here. Okay.
That's right.
Good stuff. I haven't been out there. I didn't go last year. I just never had an opportunity to get out to the ballpark. I need to do that because I know they're putting on an upper deck. I don't know if that's going to be ready by opening day or not, but a lot of changes out there.
Funny you say that because we're not far. The station is not far. Like we're really just a few blocks, but I haven't driven in that direction. So have to spin by there sometime in the daylight hours and see what's going on.
I've been going to whatever iteration of the South Bend team is, South Bend White Sox, South Bend Cubs, the Silverhawks. I've been going there since I was a little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to get a ticket in the upper deck. I got to check this thing out. I want to get up there. I don't know if those are going to be nosebleed seats or whatever, but I'm going to watch a game from up there. It's a different view.
Maybe, maybe we can, talk and we can kind of finagle our way over there. We could do a show in the upper deck or something.
Now,
you think about that?
You're just giving all these promotion guys an awful lot of ideas lately. So
I know a guy.
I think you might be onto something here.
Yeah. Now, I want to make sure the temperature is going to be above 50 degrees.
Yeah, I'm thinking June.
Jump in
May, June. Let's be smart about this.
That's right. That you can be sure of.
Yes.
But, that's not. I think maybe we can look into that. See if we can.
I'm down. I'm down.
All right. Well. Oh, well, apparently they released the spring practice schedule today.
I think that's
we got an email saying it was coming later.
Well, That's on the down low. That's keep that to yourself for a minute.
Where did you get this? You just texted this to me.
I know, but I didn't know you were going to bring it up.
Well, it looks very official.
Well,
it looked like it had been released.
It has been
I didn't say any dates.
It has been released to football, like high school football coaches, but not publicly.
Well, how did you get it then?
Well, I know people. I know high school football coaches, Sean Stiers.
All right.
But that was so high school coaches can, come to practice and, do things like that. Because there's an RSVP email on there. And I think I just might have to go back into the high school coaching ranks so I can just go to all the practices. I think that's
this is good to know, though. This is good. At least we have it in the bank. I won't hold it up to the camera. So
it does. When it was sent to me, I was like, how did I not get this email? Like, how did this get announced? I didn't know. And then they're like, well, it's for high school coaches. I was like, oh, okay. So
there you go.
I don't want to. I just don't want you to get in trouble because I don't know what's supposed to be out there. I don't know the rules.
It's we in or we out day. Tommy says we in or we out. My daughter thinks Coach Freeman looks like the current Jake from State Farm.
Wow,
guy. I mean, I don't know your daughter. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're twins, but I'll go in that your daughter thinks that anyway.
Yeah, I'm in that your daughter thinks that. I don't know who that's a compliment more for, Coach Freeman or the State Farm guy.
Yeah.
The State Farm guy, he's been rocking the Smedium red sweater a lot lately. He takes a visit to the gun show. Like he's put together, man.
He's working it.
He is. He definitely is.
All right, so it's been a while. I think we see Tommy maybe once a week, and I actually saw he said in a comment earlier in the YouTube chat that he wanted to show up and give Jesse a hard time for some of the stuff he's been saying this week. Apparently, did you hear what Jesse? You were barely awake when the show started yesterday.
This is true.
It's not shade, but Jesse's got an issue. He and a buddy are coaching a youth basketball team.
Right.
Once again. So their first game was last weekend.
Okay.
But before they ever knew what the schedule was going to be or anything else, they had planned this golf trip to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, that's right.
So they took the golf trip. So because it's just the two of them coaching, they had to have one of the dads kind of take over. It was like the dad who always showed up at the practices and stuff like that. He took over for the first game.
Okay.
Well, guess what? They won their first game by 2 points. And so guess what's happened at practice this week?
Dad was involved, wasn't he?
Dad wanted to be very involved.
Yep.
Here's the checklist of things. And he's like going up to kids, you need to do this and you need to do.
Yeah.
So Jesse was asking a little advice yesterday on how to handle that. That's it's a tough situation because he has opened they opened the door on them.
Exactly right.
To let that in.
Listen, I had a very similar situation, and when I was coaching middle school, and there was a very, very involved dad, and I knew that this dad was going to be right on the outskirts. He was going to be one of those dads that was going to be chirping in the stands, that kind of a thing. I knew this was going to happen, so I asked him to be an assistant coach. That way, he's right here, and I got him under control.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like keep your enemies closer kind of a situation. And I don't want to say that this gentleman was an enemy because he ended up being a friend of mine, that kind of a thing. But I could tell he was going to be an issue if he wasn't involved. You know what I mean?
That's what I told him. They need to find something for him to do.
He could be the guy that does the book. He could be,
but at the same time, I do feel like there is a line when he just takes it upon himself when the coaches are back to jump in and start coaching kids at practice, right?
That I agree with. Without
an understanding of, okay, now you're involved or whatever.
Yeah,
but I do feel like they need to give him something to do.
Yeah.
Give him at least, and like the input he was trying to give, it sounds like, was actually constructive. It's like, well, here are the things that we had problems with in the first game, whatever. But I also feel like it's probably a conversation you have with the coaches before the practice starts and not just jump in on your own after the practice starts.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's tough. They opened the door. They opened the door to a dad that really wanted to be involved, and now he's there.
and he is involved.
You know?
Yep, they let him be involved. Now he's going to be involved the rest
Uh-huh.
of the season. So
Yeah, it's tough.
it's going to be interesting.
That is tough.
And John is correct. Jesse, well, I don't know if it's a lot of technical fouls. He has at least gotten technical fouls though.
What age level is the age group? You know?
I know like the baseball group that he coaches, I think is maybe like 10 and under or something like that. I think it's like at the oldest probably 12.
Okay. So we're talking young. We're talking elementary.
I'll have to ask. Yeah, it's definitely elementary school type.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Gotcha. That's even tougher.
I know.
Elementary age is tough. That's where everybody's got to play and, the whole deal. And you got to balance the competitive spirit.
And that's really,
that
like
kind of
I
stuff.
coached like Jesse and those guys when they were little. Like when
Yeah.
I look at it like that, it's like you want them to, kind of show some assertiveness, play hard, but you also want them to have fun. And I think that just like learn fundamentals and have as much fun as you can at that age.
Yeah.
The expectations
Absolutely
obviously change as you get older and depending on what level of competitive, like what level of game you're playing in those games.
Right.
So
Right. I will say, and I'm sure you went through this as well, when you watched Jesse get older and go to college and all of these different things. It is very interesting because, we live in a fairly small community. I mean, on the grand scheme of things. So we know not only the kids that our kids go to school with, but the kids that they compete against, and all of those types of things. And the parents, more specifically, and, what the parents think of their kid and what they're going to be and the prognostications that are out there, and they're going to go this and they're going to go that. And then just to see reality where kids actually end up going or don't end up going and, things like that. And a lot of those kids get burnt out,
They do.
It's an interesting thing to see, once you fast forward to like college and you're like, well, we have narrowed things down significantly.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, and you just wonder, if parents are looking back thinking maybe I went a little too far, but hey, to each his own.
That's true. That is very true. Yep. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll jump into We In, We Out with both feet. We've got some questions stacked up, both from the IB Champions Lounge and in the YouTube chat. If you're listening on the radio and you're getting home, you can go to either Irish Breakdown or the Sports Radio WSBT YouTube channel and submit your We In or We Out questions, and we'll answer them coming up next. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues. We in, we out Friday with Vince D'Addario. I'm Sean Stiers. We're answering listener-submitted we in or we out questions. Notre Dame football, Notre Dame basketball, whatever it happens to be.
Bring it all.
Talking about Jesse's coaching situation. A minute ago, Tommy says those dang overly involved dads. Look, I'm not knocking dads. I mean, I was a dad coach.
Yeah.
Did you ever coach your kid, Dylan?
Not in anything like serious. Like I stepped in like once or twice and did like an indoor soccer game if like the coach couldn't be there, but that was more just like herding cats. That wasn't
I'm
really.
Just saying there are boundaries. There
100%.
There are boundaries that have to be there, and they're there for a reason.
Correct. There are two types of dad-son relationships when it comes to coaching. One, like you're hard on your kid, you're harder on him than anybody else, and the other one is where they get to play no matter what. I know where you fall. I know very well where you fall.
Yes. When I'm not here, ask Jesse where I fell.
Yeah. I don't know that Dylan and I would have gotten along as well if I was his coach, and so I'm glad I coached things that he didn't do. But it allowed me to take more of a dad role, like outside of the venue, which was always probably good. So that's what was best for us. And I think you got to figure out kind of what's best. It's, I've seen it work and I've seen it not work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right.
But you were hard on Jesse. There's no doubt about that. But I also think you guys had a really good relationship for coach, player, and dad's son. Like there was a line and you guys knew what it was. Right. You coached him hard. Like there was, I watched you guys in action numerous times.
I guess that's true. I didn't think that. That's right. That's right. Vince was there for some of that.
I watched you get your head shaved.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think I need to go back to that look, honestly. I think it's not bad.
It's a good look.
Domer Grizz, it's actually really hard to stay motivated during the slog of winter workouts.
Facts.
Since the effort won't pay off for another 7 months, and even harder if you're a guy who probably won't even play much in 2026. Are we in or are we out on that?
I'm actually out on that only because there is spring ball in between. Spring ball is at least an opportunity to have a practice, to be able to put the pads on, to be able to at least be in a competitive environment. Not that lifting weights isn't a competitive situation, because it is. The good strength coach can make it a competition all the time, that kind of a deal. But I think having spring ball is very, very important to the off season, to be honest with you. I was actually just talking to my kid this morning, and he, they work out 4 days a week and they're doing the whole thing. And he's like, he got out and kicked for the first time. For example, a couple of days ago, he's like, I got to be ready for spring ball, which starts in like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And so that's something that they look forward to kind of cut up the workouts. So it's better than saying, man, I got to get ready. We've got, fall camp in 4 months or 5 months or whatever, it happens to be 7 months. And so I think spring ball is really important here.
And I think it's kind of it's a situation where it's a total reset. Once whenever the end of one season is, you get that break, you get to go away for Christmas, and then you come back second semester, and it's a reset for everybody. It's like, okay, this is who I was or wasn't last season. Now is my opportunity to work on these things, get bigger, faster, stronger, all those different things, and then go into spring practice and have a new chance to show what I can do. So I think that's I would think that's how most of the players look at it.
Yeah, and there's benchmarks and there's things that you're trying to, gain, whether it's weight, whether it's a benchmark for benching,
agility, whatever.
All of those things. And like I said, good strength coaches build that into the process so that it's not just the same thing day in and day out, and that kind of a deal. So it goes by fast. It does. Like, yeah, you don't have the games and stuff like that. I get all of that, but it does go by fast.
And I mean, considering there aren't any games in those kind of I'm sure January can always be a slog for everyone. And maybe to an extent it's February for the off-season workouts, because now you've been at it for a few weeks and you're going to have some time off for spring break, before spring practice rolls around and
Sure.
all those kind of things. So maybe it can be a slog at some point. But again, like it just feels like most of those guys are pretty bought in to what they're doing.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
they know what they're here for. And now that, on top of getting a scholarship, there are other stakes that come with it as well. So you better be motivated.
For sure.
Domer Grizz also says during the dark winter months, on those random days when the sun actually comes out and is blazing off the white snow, it is actually a little too bright and sunny. In or out on that?
I'm kind of in on that, to be honest with you. I went out today to do a little Valentine's Day shopping, and I had to have my sunglasses on. Like it's legitimately shiny outside. You know what I mean? It's bright and it's shiny. Although I was not upset about the fact that I did not have to wear a coat. Like that.
True.
That was legit today.
Back to a sweatshirt for the first time
in
a while. That was very nice. I'm in though, like, because we get, especially in this area, obviously, we get so used to the perma cloud. It's
seriously
just constantly overcast. And then like these first few days, it's like, this is so annoying. I'm used to making this drive into work. I don't have to worry about the sun in my eyes. And now I've got to keep adjusting the visor and move it around based on which direction I turn. It is because I don't have the sunglasses in the car right now because of the fact that it's winter and I haven't had to use them for months. But it is, it's definitely, there's some annoyance to it. Even though it's like now, a few days later, it's like, man, it's been nice to have the sun back a little bit.
Well, and I also went to get my car washed, and apparently I had the same idea as everybody in Mishawaka,
of course,
because I waited in line for quite some time. But once you're committed, I was in, I had to get it done because it's going to be nice this week. I use air quotes on that, but for February, it's going to be nice. So get that car washed.
Do you get gas at Costco?
I do. That's really the only place I get gas.
I went there. I don't always go there because it's a long.
That's a haul for you.
For me, but I was on that side of town. Speaking of Valentine's shopping and that kind of thing, doing that thing today. So I was by Costco and I was like, well, I've got less than a quarter tank. I better go get it. And so I'm pulling in, and it's like it was awesome because you know how long the lines usually are there for all the gas pumps.
Yes,
it's like they're 10 deep.
Yep.
And I pulled in. Because that sort of, would you call it a parking lot? Behind, not
kind of like the waiting area, like the on deck circle. Yeah,
like all the cars were underneath the awnings by the pumps. There was almost no one.
Wow,
extended out. So I'm like, awesome. So I'm trying to pull in, and there's like 5 cars in front of me, and they're all like, which one am I gonna go?
I hate that.
Where am I gonna? And it's like, come on, you can literally go anywhere right now. Why am I still out here on the street? There's all this open space. Just pick some place and go.
Yeah.
I honked at somebody and I kind of got these looks like, what are you honking at? It's like, look at this.
Of course you did.
People need to move.
Love it. Freaking love it. I did. My car has the gas tank on, I guess what you would call the wrong side, because the majority of people have it on the other side. And so I can get through Costco pretty quickly. And not have to do the whole, pull the hose over to the opposite side just so you can get through it quicker. So
see, that's what I did today. I had to do the pull, but I don't mind.
I don't mind doing it either.
As long as we keep and then, because I was at the back getting my gas, and then one of the cars that was holding things up had like pulled through like in the middle lane there and went up to the front of another one. And she didn't even park inside the lines. She was outside the lines.
So now you can't get by her.
Things up before. Well, barely. I had to. It was like it was a much tighter squeeze than it needed to be, Vince.
Man,
yes.
That's just
bulk gas buying. That's
just inconsiderate. Just inconsiderate. That's all that is.
We're supposed to have agreements out here. I don't know what.
All I'm saying.
From JG Town, we in or we out? Wide receiver edition.
Oh man, here we go.
We in or we out? Chancey Stuckey set the Notre Dame wide receiver room back 3 years.
I'm not sure where he got specifically that number, but the attrition, just from a numbers standpoint, was legit, and it did set them back. So I'm going to be in on this. I think, they had to restock, they had to reload, they had to use the transfer portal, all of these different things. And I think this coming up year is the first year where I felt actually really good about the wide receiver position, top to bottom. So I'm going to say I'm in.
I think I'd probably be out. I think
Okay.
maybe 2 years,
Fair.
because Jaden Greathouse is a senior now. He was a freshman in part of that group, with Rico Flores and Braylon James, who took off, and all that kind of stuff, and obviously Tobias Merriweather left as well. But it's always really interesting, man. Like when you look at the guys who leave, like have any of them gone on to, big, great things at the other schools that they're at,
Nope.
like you would have had a little bit more in the room. I don't know how they exactly would have panned out. So I'd say maybe 2 years, but I think 3 is probably a little bit much because
All right.
looking at where they are right now with Greathouse going into his senior year, so it's basically like what 2.5 years later since the Stuckey move, and it's a pretty well stocked room that they've got there. So I don't think it's quite 3. I think it's closer to 2.
Okay. I can get on board with that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but I will be curious to see when will this sort of be the cutoff of do they have to keep going to the transfer portal for receivers?
Right. When they're bringing in 5 this year. So can you hold on to them? Can, all of the things, right? So
obviously the 2 from Ohio State with multiple years of eligibility.
Massive. Yeah.
So yeah. In or out, Jaden Greathouse won't be in the top 3 of receptions in 2026.
Oh, man.
The problem with this is, as highly as we think of Jaden Greathouse, we keep trying to make predictions about Jaden Greathouse, and none of them come true.
Year in and year out.
Yes. We keep thinking it's going to happen. It feels like this should be the year that it happens, but last year should have been the season that it happened. Top 3, though, let me double check this. Top 3 of receptions. So if you're going to include a tight end in there, I don't know. What's your answer?
My gut is to say that I'm out. I think he'll be in the top 3, but history tells me that I'm wrong.
I know.
I think I truly believe last year he was chomping at the bit to get back on the field. And they're like, "Hey man, just hold on to the end of the regular season and let's go make a title run." That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so now he's got to wait the entire offseason to get back on the field. I just got to think that he's absolutely chomping at the bit, and he's going to have a heck of a year. Obviously, this is all pending injury and all of those kinds of things, but I just feel like he's going to be 100% healthy. There's talent in this room that he has to compete against. It's the whole iron sharpens iron thing. So I'm going to be out on it. I think Jaden Greathouse shows up and shows out this year, and he'll be in the top 3.
I mean, I'm leaning in that direction. I'm definitely teetering, but if you said scale of 1 to 10, what's my confidence that he will be in the top 3? It's probably only a 6 right now. Just again, because we've gone so far out on these different limbs over the last couple of years, making these predictions about him, and they have come up short. Obviously, last year was much different because of the fact that it was injury related, and then all the speculation that dragged on and everything. And look where he is. He's still here getting ready for his senior season now, and still has 2 years of eligibility left as well, if he would choose to use it, because of the fact that he was hurt last year and only played in the 4 games. But I think the fact that, unlike last year where you brought in 2 veterans like Pauling and Fields, you brought in the younger guys this year. So I think that sets itself up automatically for more opportunity for Greathouse. Yeah. So I've got to think that he's going to be in the top 3 in receptions this season.
If he's not, I don't know that the season went the way we want it to go, I guess is the best way I'll put it.
It's probably a good way of looking at it.
I just think Greathouse is a big part of their plans for this year.
I think so as well. Let's take our final break this hour, and then we'll be back to wrap up some we in, we out. We got a few more football questions and a couple basketball questions that I saw sitting in there. We'll do that when we return. In rapid fire, we're going to talk about this Big Ten 24-team playoff proposal. So that's coming up in the second hour in just a little bit, but more we in, we out. Coming up next, Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues. I'm Sean Stiers, along with the one and only Vince D'Addario.
Woo!
In and we out in our way through this first hour. We've got rapid fire coming up in the second hour.
Some juicy topics to discuss in the second hour.
I thought so. I don't know how many we're going to get through since we've got a little bit of a short show because we've got Notre Dame hockey.
Oh, I forgot about that
as well. Yes. Okay, final one from JG Y-Town. A true freshman will have 500 yards receiving for this season, in or out.
So far out, it's not even funny. Like, I just, I'm not saying that the guys that are coming in as true freshmen aren't talented, but they've got a long way to go to see the field. I mean, and if they do, it's not going to be, I don't think, it's not going to be in a manner of they're going to be getting those kinds of targets. I mean, there might be a starter that doesn't get 500 yards receiving. You know what I mean? So, if how about this? Because I think you're probably going to be out on this too, man. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I am out. I
Okay.
think it's too much for a true
Right.
freshman. Like, where's the track record,
Right?
of that, especially with the veterans that you've got in front of them. I think 500 is just too much. I think the over under is probably 349.5 is where I would put it for a freshman.
How about this? Are we in, we out on a true freshman even being in the rotation at wide receiver?
That's very questionable as well.
I agree.
Because again, like when you look at the guys who were here last year, they're going to have, I mean, like whoever's on campus is going to have cracks this spring at showing themselves, but there's a lot of talent in that essentially redshirt freshman class, guys going into their sophomore seasons right now. Not to mention, as we talked about, the two guys from Ohio State who are coming in. So there's a lot there. I think it's just going to be tough for a true freshman to make that kind of impact this year.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard. And like I said, I know that there are, a bunch of, really talented guys coming in, and that's awesome. That's great. I just don't think that there's enough talent to really, just dethrone some of these guys enough,
I agree. 13 reasons why, in or out, with courts deciding player eligibility, we'll see more players in their 7th and 8th years.
Well, we are. There was the one kid, I can't remember even what school it is off the top of my head, but he's coming back for his 9th year or something.
I just saw that yesterday.
Like, is it ridiculous? Yes. Should it happen, in my opinion? No, but it's going to. I mean, I think they said the kid who's coming back for his 9th year had 5 medical redshirt years. 5.
I think is he the one? I think he's the one who started out at USC and he's at Montana State or something like that.
It might be a Tuiasosopo name, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that. But either way, a 9th year of college football. People who go to school for 9 years are called doctors, not football players. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's going to happen more often because there's more money on the line now. And, these guys have the opportunity, a guy like him going into his 9th year in college, the odds against him playing in the NFL are great. So
sure,
this is like getting another year in school, getting some NIL money is his last opportunity to make money. And that's essentially why all of these guys are going to have more money because, they're going to go to court and say,
sure,
we're taking away my opportunity to make money off this.
It's like the Van Wilder school of football. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's time to turn the page. Like if that was my kid, I'd be like, dude, it's time to now be an adult and go get a real big boy job, not stay in college for a 9th year. Like 2 cycles of human beings have gone to college and graduated.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Like year 9. So let me think. An 18-year-old was 9 years old,
Yeah.
Like, think about it that way.
Yeah.
So someone getting ready for college was 9 years old 9 years ago. So
I mean, like my 2 sons could play on the same team, even though they're 8 years apart from each other.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry.
Josh says we in or we out on the question I asked last week. I think it would have been easier, Josh, if you just put in the question from last week.
Because I don't know.
That's right. As of now, I'm out. But if you put it in, then, we can think about it. So from another Joshua, we in or we out, the men's basketball team hit its peak under Mike Bray and will never return to that standard for the foreseeable future.
I hate to say it, but I'm kind of in on that. Mike Bray did find the sweet spot there for a few years. Like he did a great job of finding guys that were going to be at Notre Dame for the entirety of their careers. And then he makes a run with them when they're juniors and seniors and 5th years. You know what I mean? And that, I just think that formula is just going away in college football. College basketball. And so
because guys don't want to wait around
exactly.
for one thing. They want to take the money and go someplace else and play.
Yeah.
Away.
And it's not an indictment on Micah Shrewsbury, to be honest with you. And it's not a praise of Mike Bray. It's that he found the formula that worked at Notre Dame in the time frame that it worked in college basketball. And I just don't see that being the case anymore.
Mike Bray had college basketball's Moneyball formula.
Yeah.
He went against, the trend and the direction that college basketball was going with one and dones like that. And it was get old, stay old. And that's what he did. He did it for a long time. And like you said, they had a lot of success doing that by keeping guys around and guys who had played together for 3 and 4 years and just having, more veteran savvy type guys. And, I know a lot of people got frustrated with it a lot of times, but look at the track record that he had. And I do think it's tough, especially now, because of the fact that there is so much money changing hands and you can just jump in the portal and go someplace else. And you've got one and done and all that kind of stuff as well. It's a lot tougher. So I don't know about never return though. I do still think
it's in the near future. It's a near future
or the foreseeable future.
Okay. Well, I can see pretty far into the future. I'm good like that, but no, I'm just kidding. I looked at that as like over the next 10 years. I don't know.
But I mean, really, the question is is somebody going to get Notre Dame into the NCAA basketball tournament, for a stretch of what would it be, 7 out of every 10 years, like Mike Bray did? That's kind of about, what he did there. That's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
So I guess I've got to be in on that.
That's
until we see some other signs that something else is going to change, because it's a different game when you do value academics the way they do. And because they're not sort of all in on basketball to the extent that Duke is, for example, because that's still Duke's sport, even though they happen to be an academic institution as well. But they've obviously shown that they would go out and spend and get in the big guys. So Josh says it was about Notre Dame having more rushing yards than passing yards, even with the departures of Price and Love. Vince ran out of time last week.
Well, with Price and Love, did a little research here. They had 2,400 yards rushing, and they had 3,000 yards passing last year. That number is going to go the numbers here. It's going to go like this. There's going to be even more passing yards, and I think there's going to be less rushing yards. So I'm definitely out on that. I think the passing yards are easier to get, and you have a prolific quarterback now at Notre Dame. I don't see that happening. It doesn't matter who the personnel is.
I see it being between 3,300 and 3,500 passing yards, and you're not going to be able to rush for quite as much. Although you can, if you've got some blowouts and stuff, you'll tack some on at the end of games, but maybe you lose, 200 or 300 yards or something like that. So yeah, like you said, they already had more passing yards last year, even with guys like Love and Price.
Right. And it was, a 600-yard, discrepancy, which is pretty legit. Do you think there's a chance that CJ Carr breaks the record for season passing, which is just a shade under 4,000? So essentially, do you think CJ Carr can get 4,000 passing yards?
Man, that's a pretty high number.
It's a big number.
Because he didn't quite have 3,000 by himself, right? He was still a little.
That's a good point. Right? I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, I would assume so, because they had just over 3,000. So that would make sense
as a team. Yeah, because I think that Kenny Minchie was able to get some of that. Even Josh Burnham had some of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
He actually got a pretty good chunk of that. I want to say it was in the 2,800 range, maybe.
Yeah, that's probably right. For some reason, it's not easily findable here on this PDF of 182 pages of stats. But here we go. Passing. He had, let's see here, 2,741.
There you go.
And Kenny Minchie had 196.
Right.
And to your point, Josh Burnham had 84.
There you go. There you go. All right. Joseph asks, we in or we out? Micah Shrewsbury will be coaching Notre Dame men's basketball next season. I am in because I just don't see them eating 4 years of a 7-year contract that they gave him when he showed up here. And he is still recruiting, and they do still have the fact to fall back on that their star player was out for a good chunk of the year. So I think that he'll be back next season.
I completely agree. I mean, is he on the hot seat? Is his seat warm? I would say yes, but I definitely think he'll be coaching next year. And Notre Dame, I don't believe, unless he does something ridiculous, I don't think that he is. They're going to do like a dismissal in the middle of the season or anything like that. Like he'll be here at least through next year, and he's got another good recruiting class coming in. So, even though this year has
also the first year for both coaches working, with the new GM and kind of working through that, like what sort of, the vision and the shape for the next few years and those kind of things.
Yep. I'm very in on him coming back,
Right.
Going to be a big year though. I mean,
I agree.
It's going to be a very, very, very big year.
I agree. Like by year 4, you haven't been to the NCAA tournament yet. Next year is a must. I think.
I know because we talked about, at the beginning of this season, we talked about they should at least be a bubble team for the NCAA tournament, and they're not even sniffing the bubble.
I mean, honestly, with Burton, I do think that they're much closer to the bubble.
Sure, I agree with that. Yeah, but I agree with that completely.
They haven't had that, obviously. So,
yep.
All right, let's take a timeout. After the top of the hour, rapid fire, hour 2, we're going to talk about this Big Ten 24-team college football playoff proposal they've got floating around. That's coming up. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Yeah, it's hour number 2 of the show, along with Vince D'Addario, Sean Stiers. Rapid fire time. We've got a short amount of time to go in the show because we've got Notre Dame, Minnesota hockey coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of hockey, watched Miracle again last night.
Oh, did you?
I was just in the USA mood, so I watched a little Miracle. Never gets old.
Nice.
I
haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a while. I need to find that.
You do. I mean, obviously it's on Disney Plus, not surprisingly.
I don't get Disney Plus.
Okay, fair enough.
But you obviously do because you've got 8,000 kids.
That's 100% accurate.
Okay. So ESPN obtained an internal document that the Big Ten is circulating that lays out what a 24-team college football playoff would look like. It includes eliminating conference championship games. So here's some of the other particulars. It'd be a 24-team format that would include the 23 best teams with one spot guaranteed for the group of 6. So like theoretically, if 23 Power 4 teams were ranked 1 through 23, and then like the group of 6 was at 25, they would get spot number 24. There would be no automatic qualifiers, just straight rankings in this. The top 8 teams would all receive buys. There would be 8 first-round games played on campus sites, and then an extra week of home games with 8 second-round games that would also be played on campus sites, because the 8 teams that got buys would also get home games then in that second round. The optimal window to start the 24-team playoff, they say, would be the second weekend of December, which would have Friday and Saturdays away from any NFL games. So you could play Friday, Saturday, like they've been doing these first couple years. Quarterfinals would be New Year's Eve and New Year's Day at bowl sites. Semifinals would be the following weekend at bowl sites, and then championship game in the middle of January at a neutral site. The expanded playoff would also have a total of 22 games that would be played, and it would open up the opportunity for 10 new games to be on TV networks other than ESPN, because obviously ESPN controls all the inventory right now. So there's a lot there, Vince.
There is a lot there.
Do you buy or sell any of this?
I mean, it's at least a thought out plan, because I feel like a lot of times people are just throwing out numbers without like an actual legitimate way to carry it out.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so I do appreciate the actual plan itself, right? So I want to put that out there. I like not having conference championships. Those are worthless to me at this point. And I think they're becoming more and more worthless as we move forward, because people are complaining about them. Why should we play? So I think they should be on their way out. We know that they're money makers and those kinds of things. So I like that part of it. I like the fact that there's 2 rounds of home games, to be perfectly honest. If we're going to go to 24, I like the 2 rounds of home games, and you're only going to, there's no way to get 2 home games. You're only going to get 1.
Right.
And
because
so,
like the way the format is right now, you get a first round bye, you don't even get a home game. You go to a bowl site.
Right.
Obviously. So even though you're one of the better teams, you don't ever get to host a playoff game.
So it's, I like the fact that the upper ranked teams are going to get a home game. I like the fact that, 9 through 15, they're going to get a home, or what I think it's 9 through 15, 9 through 16, whatever it is. I like the fact they get a home game as well. And so I dig that part of it. Then the dates kind of get a little wonky for me, because I was looking at a calendar, and then you're going to have 2 consecutive weeks of games, and then you're going to have like almost 2 weeks off if you want to go to New Year's. It's like 12 days.
So they're putting kind of a gap in there probably for Christmas and maybe even finals or something like that.
Sure, which if that's what they're doing, if that's the reasoning behind it, cool. Like I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? And you're still using the bowl sites, cool. You know what I mean? You're not going to have the bowl affiliations like we used to have. That's never going to happen again. I still think 24 is too many, but if you're going to do it, at least this is a well thought out plan, and I don't really have a problem with it. I also like the fact there's no automatic, automatic stuff. It's where you're ranked, man.
Right. And that has been one of
Period.
the things that the Big Ten has kind of been hung up on, is getting the automatic bids
Right.
for the conference. But basically they've said in this whole thing that, well, if you're willing to take it to 24, then we're not worried about automatic bids anymore, because now there's all these spots that are
Right.
up for grabs. And I had it written out here. Where is it? Oh, I thought that I had it. I'll have to see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So here's the breakdown. If the field had been in place this season, again, this is a 24-team playoff.
Right.
7 SEC teams, 6 Big Ten teams, 5 Big 12 teams, 3 ACC, 2 Group of 6, and Notre Dame would have made it in as well.
Pretty even across the board, really.
Right. So it's like, what are you going to quibble about if you're either the SEC or the Big Ten when you've got a total of 13 bids? And I'm curious to know why everyone is so out on this. And I realize it's a big number, like to say that you're going to 24. I'm going to say this, though, because the majority of our audience is obviously Notre Dame fans.
Sure.
Like, you're in on Notre Dame football. That's why you're listening to the show and you're on the Irish Breakdown channel and everything else. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you should be begging for this format, because it helps Notre Dame in so many ways. Everything about this benefits Notre Dame, starting with the fact that if it's a 24-team field, Notre Dame's never going to miss the playoffs.
I mean, if they end up unranked, then so be it. Like, you don't belong anywhere near, so yeah. Right.
They're always going to be in the playoffs, and that also means that they're going to get to host at least one game every year, because they're either going to have a bye, or even if they had to play in those first rounds, you're going to get to host a playoff game. So, that's win-win right there. And then what's the most cliche thing that you hear from both college football coaches and the media every year when the playoffs come around as it pertains to Notre Dame? Well, they don't have to play in a conference championship game. You don't have to hear that anymore, because now conference championship games are gone. So that can't be held against Notre Dame anymore. The fact that they're not playing in a conference championship game. So there's another big check mark for Notre Dame.
If you want to secure Notre Dame's independence for the foreseeable future, 24-team playoff does it.
Yes.
You'll be independent forever.
Because if you look at the rankings, it was like there were at least 8 teams with 3 losses that were ranked between 12 and 23 this year. That's that was going into the postseason. They had at least 3 losses, and the others had multiple losses. The only other teams that were ranked in that area were like Group of 6s with 1 loss and stuff like that. But I'm talking about Power 4. So, it would benefit Notre Dame, because the soft, simple minds like Lincoln Riley and Jen Cohen out there on the West Coast, they don't have to worry about scheduling Notre Dame anymore. Notre Dame would not have to worry about who is and isn't going to play them in this scenario, because, again, if you can't make the playoff with a 24-team field, then you obviously have no right even thinking about being in the playoff. There's no reason for these schools not to play Notre Dame. So, everything about this, to me, makes perfect sense from a Notre Dame aspect.
You're not going to have teams like IU, for example. They might actually schedule tough teams to play in their non-conference. You know what I mean? You're not going to lose the big matchups that everybody craves at the beginning of the season, that some people are shying away from, like you said. And look, do I think that, teams 15 through 24 have a shot at the national championship? No, I don't. The matchups aren't as bad as you think, though, because it's not going to be the number 1 team versus the number 24 team. It's going to be number 9 versus number 24 in the first round. You're going to get the same kinds of matchups that you would have gotten in a bowl game, number 1. And now there's more. There's more to it. There's more on the line, because if you lose, you're out. If you win, you advance. So it would actually resurrect the postseason, because I'm sorry, unless you are tied to the team in some way, like a parent, a player, something, bowl games are so incredibly meaningless. And if you have a season where you're ranked,
this is going to reinvigorate the post. This would reinvigorate the postseason, because now you're going to have 22 games that are all going to matter, rather than a handful of games that matter and a bunch of completely meaningless bowl games that, let's be honest, they just announced a couple of days ago that Detroit's no longer going to have a bowl game anymore.
Really?
Like a lot of these minor bowls are just falling by the wayside because of lack of interest and money to put into them, because all the emphasis is on the playoffs right now. And I see people saying it makes the regular season less important. Like we're at a point right now where the regular season has already been devalued just by going 24. I would rather have a postseason that, again, has a lot more relevance throughout than a bunch of meaningless bowl games by having these playoff games. And you're going to start it the first week of December. So you're going to roll right out of Thanksgiving weekend. Boom, you're hosting a playoff game the next week. Or you've got to buy and you're hosting a game the week after that.
I would even, to be honest with you, if you want to throw some of these, the Pop-Tarts Bowl and like some of these other bowl games that people were so upset that Notre Dame didn't play in last year, if you want to throw them a bone, you could even put second round games at some of those alternate bowl sites, and I would still be okay with that, to be perfectly honest with you.
Or you could just scoop up those corporate sponsors and roll them into, like whatever money is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. You want to have the Gator Bowl, you want to have the Pop-Tarts Bowl, you want to have that stuff. Cool. Intertwine it into this playoff, because now I'm like, me personally, now I'm watching these games. You know what I mean? I don't watch a whole lot of bowl games that don't involve the team that I root for. You know what I mean? Yeah. Unless it's the playoff and my team is in the playoff, I'm watching all the playoff games. But like, if you've got 24 teams in the playoff, you're going to get massive viewership, and you are going, people are going to care about these postseason games. And right now they don't care. Like, nobody's going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl right now. They're just not.
Right. Like I there was some social media where I saw, like, if you watch that game, there were a couple times where ESPN's cameras were obviously trying not to, show you the upper deck bowl, but they showed you the upper deck a couple times, and it was not even probably not even a quarter full.
Exactly.
There were just empty seats everywhere, but that's not going to be the case, because again, you're going to give teams an extra home playoff game. And I think that's going to generate a lot more excitement, giving teams around the country and all spots around the country the chance to actually host these meaningful games in December. And I just think that there's going to, and the fact that there are 24 teams involved, you're going to have, like, the entire country is now going to be like, have a rooting interest in the playoffs, because you're going to have teams from everywhere that are going to be involved in it.
I was not a fan of the idea of a 24-team playoff, but when you break it down,
I have not been either. Like, when I heard, like, it just felt like the Big Ten trying to, and it's like, come on, you've got to be kidding with this. But again, like, when you see it broken down like this, again, there are just tons of benefits in this from Notre Dame. And as you said at the top of the list, if you go to 24, because of all these, you're getting rid of conference championship games, I think it's going to continue to make scheduling much easier for Notre Dame, and it's going to virtually guarantee that Notre Dame is able to remain independent going forward, because there's not going to be pressure from these conferences, because there's going to be so much other access. And you're also not going to have to hear all the belly aching, for example, about like the memorandum of understanding that everybody complained about, because Notre Dame is guaranteed that access. It's just, things are going to be so much better. It would be so much better.
Pete Murphy chimes in. He goes, if the Irish are seeded 3 and play the winner of the 14-21 seed winner in round 2, I'm watching the 14-21 seed game.
There you go.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Whereas that 14-21 seed game would have been the whatever bowl that nobody watches.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's a reason right there, man. Like,
exactly.
It makes too much sense.
Tattoo says, doesn't that dilute the money earned per round? Well, there would be a new multiple TV contracts would be generated out of this. So it would change the money dispersal, like all that. And I think it's like, like short term, it would probably dilute it a little bit, because I think the Big Ten, in this outline said that they would like to see this happen by 2029. And I think the TV contracts start to come up around 2032 or something like that. We know John. We know John loves the Pop-Tarts.
He did. He loved
the Pop-Tarts bowl. He has been in the whole time.
Oh, man. But look, like I said, if you're connected to a team, you're going to go to that bowl game. You're going to support that bowl game. I went to the Albanese Candy Bowl because my kid played in it. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a whole lot of other people there besides parents, but that's how a lot of these bowl games are, unfortunately. You would spice everything up, man, by extending things out and doing it just how they spelled it out. I see the benefit. I really do. And look, what's one of the most favorite things for America when it comes to college sports? It's March Madness. It's the 68 team playoff. Does anybody think realistically that teams 30 to 68 have an actual chance at winning in the national championship? No, they don't. And when you're talking about a 24-team playoff for football, I'm not thinking that teams 15 through 24 have a shot, right? But it'll be fun to watch, and I'll be watching. Same thing with March Madness.
How you're getting credit for people saying that you're swaying them when I had to sway you to begin with. And you're getting credit for swaying people on this. I don't even know where I am anymore.
I get no credit for anything else. I'll take it.
So to kind of go back, yes, teams 1 through 8 would get a first round bye.
Yep.
And let me kind of go back through this again. There are no auto bids, no automatic qualifiers.
That's a check.
Rankings. The top 8 seeds get a bye, and then there would be first round games with everybody else, and then the winner of those games would play against the top 8 seeds in the second round. And both of those first 2 rounds would be on campus sites.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until the next round that they would start going to bowl games, which I think would still be the quarterfinals.
When you get to, it's the top 8. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the top 8. So you'd have 4 games, which is what they do now.
Yeah.
And they would
quarterfinals,
yeah.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, semifinals
the
next week, and then the national championship.
Which is basically now you've butt into what they do now, which makes perfect sense. And so, yeah, I gotta say I'm kind of all for it.
Yeah. So top 8 teams get a bye.
Yeah.
And then Peter Murphy is asking 9 through 16 get a home games. Yes.
Yep. And then whoever wins then goes on the road.
Wins those games play one of the top 8 seats the following week. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of works. I mean, I hate to say
17 through 24 on the road.
I'm the last guy that wants to give the Big Ten any kind of credit. Okay. But I'm kind of on board with this now, and I was not before. So
I think to me, the biggest thing, because like the stuff that I read today, again, this is just the Big Ten's proposal, but apparently there are, some conferences / schools around the country who are starting to get in line with this. Cause like when you look at the bids in this alone, like where the bids are going, 7 SEC, 6 Big Ten, 5 Big 12, 3 ACC. So you would have a total of 8, a combination of 8 Big 12 and ACC teams that would get into this. And like, look at where they have been the last 2 years with the Big 12 getting 1 bid each year.
And I like the fact you got no automatic bids. You've got no Notre Dame clause. You've got no conference championship. It's just who's ranked 1 to 24. That's it.
Right.
And you're almost guaranteed probably 9 out of the 10 years. If you did like a 10-year study, you're almost guaranteed to have a group of 6 team in the top 25, kind of hanging down there at the bottom. And so it's really going to be the top 24 teams, like legitimately.
And Jesse and I had a big conversation about this yesterday with some of the comments that I asked Brady Quinn about whether or not it would be beneficial to have TV partners other than just ESPN involved. And again, that would be part of this as well. But, that's one of the things that the Big Ten has wanted by this expansion is they want to open the door for their TV partners, with Fox being the biggest one, but NBC also being part of that, and CBS as well. They want to open the door for their TV partners to be part of the broadcast situation with the college football playoff. And like we talked about yesterday, I think that only benefits everyone by having, other big voices involved and not just broadcasting the game, but kind of directing a lot of the conversation that goes along with it as well. So it's not just ESPN who owns all this stuff, and expanding the field to 24 would open the door for that by opening up more TV inventory for these other networks to be able to bid on and broadcast those games.
I'm in. I'm hesitantly in. Let's go.
I think I have when 24 has just always seemed like too much. But I think again, like when you look at it from a Notre Dame perspective and the things that it opens up, I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And if Notre Dame's goal is to stay objective and compete for national championships, this opens up the door wide for them. So they don't have to worry about all this other talk about you're not in a conference and everything else. It's like I think it balances things out quite a bit, quite honestly.
Scary. This is not how I saw this show going when we were going to talk about a 2014 playoff. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought we were going to argue about it a lot more, to be quite honest.
This is not where I saw because immediate when I think 24, like that's just way too many. It's just too many. Not everybody has a legitimate chance of winning the play, but the 12-team playoff, not everybody in that field has a legitimate shot of winning in the national championship, right? I mean, so okay, let's go.
Josh says get rid of conference title games. Then
that's part of it, though.
And that would be part of it. And that's what I read is like there's like in the short term, there's no guarantee that they're going to make up the amount of money
that they would
lose by getting rid of the conference championship games. That would probably be the biggest sticking point, for a lot of these conferences, because they are moneymakers between the TV contracts that they have and just the attendance, selling tickets and everything else. But again, like, would you rather have, like, as the Big Ten said in this like you're risking injury in a game that really now since the playoff is already expanded to where it is, your players are risking injury in games that really don't matter.
Yeah. And I think more people are coming on board with that sentiment, except the guys cashing the checks.
Right.
So, and I don't know, how long are these contracts with these stadiums that they're having the conference championships in? What is the buyout like? All of those different things I think matter. But those are all fixable problems, in my opinion. So I think they just got to do it.
I concur. Josh says Navy would get a chance to get in as well. Theoretically, they would, but they've still got to figure out what's going to happen to the Army-Navy game. Because like I saw something about like they could still play the Army-Navy game in whatever window, but if you're opening it up to 24 teams, then both Army and Navy
have a shot
in a good year are going to have a shot to get in. So it feels like
I think you got to move it back.
Probably have to move it to Thanksgiving weekend or something like
rivalry weekend. I mean, that works. I mean, I get that Army Navy was kind of on a weekend of its own. You know what I mean? And it was just the game everybody wanted.
And that's the pushback from the academies.
I get it.
Still want that exclusive window when there's nothing else going on. But it feels like you could get some kind of guarantee someplace in Thanksgiving weekend. There are basically 3 days there where like it feels like you can find a place for the Army Navy game and just say, okay, there's going to be no other games televised during the Army Navy window.
Give me Army Navy at 1:00 on Friday. I'm in. You know what I mean? Like that would be fine because we're all just recovering from, Thanksgiving and everything else. What better than to sit back and watch a little Army Navy? So that's where I'm at.
I agree. So let me ask you this.
All right.
Which is more likely to happen first? Notre Dame joins a conference or they do away with conference championship games?
Well, apparently, since I'm all in on doing away with the championship games with this new proposal,
that's got to be it, right?
That's got to be it. Yeah, that's got to be it because I think we make a legitimate point here that if they end up going to this 2014 playoff and if it looks anything like this proposal, because that there's going to be some changes and some tweaks and things, but if it looks anything like this, you have solidified Notre Dame's independence for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
Exactly. So I think Notre Dame would be 1,000% on board with that. So I think conference championships are going the way of the dodo sooner than later.
It feels like if the Big Ten Because I think after the SEC, the Big Ten probably has the most significant conference championship game in terms of interest and revenue and all that kind of stuff. And so if the Big Ten is willing to do away with its conference championship games and also tell these other conferences like the Big 12 and ACC, hey, you're going to have more access to the playoff, because let's face it, like the ACC championship game, I can't imagine that they break even on any
they care. I agree.
So little interest.
I agree.
Game. It's got to be the conference championship games are going to go away first. And if the conference championship games go away, as we said, like and if any playoff proposal or format ends up looking anything like this 24 team field, then that sets Notre Dame free. They're going to remain independent forever in that case. So I think it's conference championship games going away.
My buddy just texted me. He's listening to the show on the radio. He says, alternate headline, Vince loves the Big Ten. I was like, oh, no. What have I done?
Oh, he knows you well.
Apparently.
What about, we've talked about how if this 24 team field, like it essentially replaces, overrides, whatever bowl games. And I've heard even before this, some people saying, well, why don't you move bowl games up to the beginning of the season? And they might not necessarily be traditional bowl games, but you could have like a series of these kickoff events, which they're kind of doing
at like neutral sites.
So like these, using your Pop-Tarts Bowl as the example. So like if the playoff field expands to 24, there's obviously, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and, as we said, all these other bowls just become irrelevant. So what if you, kind of have these sites hosting these different matchups at the beginning of the season rather than in traditional bowl slots in December? What would you think of that?
On the face of it, I'm not a fan. I feel like you could take some of the more popular, and I use that term loosely, non like BCS bowl games. You know what I mean? Like you could take some of those bowl games and kind of intertwine them into the playoff system and make them happy. It would just be, I think this is where I come down on the fact that I'm just too old school. Like having bowl games before the season starts is just kind of wild to me. I see where you're coming from, like doing those kickoff events, like in those venues, calling it,
because you could also make them like, maybe they're not even called bowl games, but like the basketball, the players thing in Las Vegas, for example,
the Maui Invitational.
What if it is like a series of what would essentially be NIL games at the beginning of the season in these neutral sites?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm going to sell it, but I would not be surprised if something like this started to happen, because we've already got these kickoff classics and, things like that. So it's not like this hasn't been tried. It's just a matter of now we're going to have guys in colorful jackets, saying that this is our bowl game essentially. So, I could see it.
You knew the big sell was coming.
He's old school like me.
I know.
All right.
I know. I'm curious to see where this goes. Like if the playoff does expand, I think that I think that the bowls don't just roll over and give up. I think that they're going to try to come up with something. And I think that the NIL tie is kind of where it's at. Sure. Like if you can, 'cause that's what I've said before, like with the bowls in their current format, if they could come up with something better, like bigger sponsors where they were actually guaranteeing the players X amount of money or, whatever, I think that they would have a better chance of keeping these bowls going and giving players the reason not to opt out of bowl games at the same time. So I think that like with the NIL, maybe we see some of these events start to pop up at the beginning of the season somewhere, like week 0 games or something like that.
I could see it.
What makes it complicated, I think, is like just the fact that teams do schedule their games so far in advance. So
Right.
like how you actually set up these matchups and stuff like that.
I think the more realistic, next step for those kind of sub bowls is that second round. The teams 1 through 8, they get to select which of the 8 bowl sites they want to go to.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of having a home game, then, maybe this is a complete hypothetical, but like, let's say the number 1 team is the Florida Gators, and they want to go to the Camping World Bowl in Orlando or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, they would have that bowl to select, and then now they're going to be there in the second round, and then whoever wins the whatever seed, they go there. Now you get your bowl game, kind of a thing. I think that is more of a realistic kind of a situation, but which 8 games do you, or which 8 sites do you pick? Is that like a rotation? What does that look like? But I think that's a benefit of being those 1 through 8 seeds, right? Number 1 seed gets to pick. Here's your 8. Where do you want to go? Some places probably closer to your campus, that kind of a thing, so on and so forth. And then the 8th seed, you get whatever's left over, but at least you get a bye and you get to go, to a site. I don't know. That's spitballing off the top of my head.
No, it makes sense. I can see that. I think, I don't think the playoff is the only change we're going to see, like in terms of how the schedule is structured. I think that over the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of changes coming to college football.
I know, for better or for worse.
We've already seen a lot, and so exactly where that goes.
Quickly. That's the other thing. It happens, and it happens quickly, and it's very reactionary, but it's happening quickly. So
that's very true. Josh says he would rather have computer-generated rankings based off other rankings and other metrics. I don't know. Like, I still
think there would be a committee that gives you a top 25, or in this case, a top 24. And that's who it would be. And there would still be people complain, just like there's people that complain about teams 69 and 70 in basketball. There's always going to be complaints.
Yep. DJ says he agrees, but he thinks TV will dictate because it always will.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today. Vince, enjoyed it as always. Let it go to input from the YouTube chat. Don't forget, you can hit us up on YouTube, either the Irish Breakdown YouTube channel or Sports Radio WSBT. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you Monday. Notre Dame hockey is coming up next here on Sports Radio WSBT and the Notre Dame Radio Network.